So we're just here talking about some things that might give our lives meaning and purpose, and we've been talking this morning, Dave and I, about things that maybe concern us about end of life. And one of the things I was going to ask you, Dave, first of all, just your health status. How would you describe your health status right now?
Well, at the moment, I feel I'm in reasonably good health.
Yep.
You know, I'm a cancer survivor, so you know, it's something that has crossed my mind in the past that you know, we're all eventually going to meet our maker, as they say. But yeah, I haven't given serious thought to how my health is going to progress in the future, but it has crossed my mind in the past, for sure.
Right,
yeah.
right, that you've been thinking about that more often.
Yes.
I'm curious about other experiences you might have had, perhaps with your family or friends, where they have been incapacitated or near death or died, that maybe might inform your thoughts now about your own experience.
Yes, one of the closest experiences I had with that was when my mother passed away at a young age. She was only 49 when she died of cancer. Oh. And it was quite prolonged. She was in the hospital for a number of months, and that did affect us as a family because we saw her deteriorating. And at that time, you know, I was quite a bit younger, and you think that of yourself that sometime I may end up in that situation. And I think that's always a concern for a lot of people, as to how you're going to end life. Whether it's going to be sudden, as with a very close friend of ours recently died of a sudden heart attack, or whether you're going to become incapacitated and eventually become a burden on your family and friends and that. So it is something that from time to time you think about, and I personally would not want to be a burden on anybody. I think that's something that most of us feel. I guess the actual ending of life per se is scary to a lot of people because it's the fear of the unknown.
Sure.
You know, nobody has gone through life, left, and for most part come back and told the rest of us what happens beyond here. And I think that's the biggest fear a lot of people have, and for some, that's the reason they cling on to what they have now, and that is the life that they have.
Right, whatever.
Regardless of what their circumstances are. But I think many of us would not want to deteriorate to the point where we're, you know, unable to provide for ourselves or be a burden on friends and family.
You've used the word burden a couple of times.
Yes.
And that's actually fraught with a lot of meaning, but I'm not sure what burden means to you.
Well, taking away their life. We all try to lead normal lives, but when somebody becomes incapacitated, then there's an obligation for loved ones or the medical system to provide for you. Yeah. And if that becomes the point where they're doing most, if not everything for you, then you've become a burden on their quality of life. If there's no quality that goes with it, if there's no possibility of living a somewhat normal life, then where do you kind of draw the line?
Right.
As far as
well, you said something earlier that I thought was very interesting, and that you said that, you know, you could be in a situation where you might have dementia, and what happens often, you've seen that the healthcare system perhaps and family members might put their quality of life standards on you instead of you being still able to voice your quality of life at that point.
Yes, and frustration can come within for the patient or the individual at that point, because they may have values within their own mind and their own thoughts as to what they would like to have happen. But if they can't communicate those, if they've not openly discussed it, say as a family group or with their physician, or made their wishes known in one form or another, then you're at the mercy of their values.
Yeah, the values of the care provider.
That's right. Yeah. So
you make an excellent point.
It's something we all have to really consider
Yeah. So your
Yeah.
message to people would be
to give serious thought to what circumstances might befall you, and in doing so, communicate that to your closest family members and or even just your family physician,
right.
so that somebody knows what your feelings are and your thoughts are with regard to the value of life in the future should these kind of circumstances affect you personally.
Right.
You know.
And you're kind of you live with a techno geek, right?
Yes.
Your
Oh,
wife
yes.
is really technically
Yes.
savvy. So we've talked already about the possibility of maybe recording something on
it.
video,
Yes.
right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So,
Yes. In
well,
fact, a friend of mine, a colleague in the Coast Guard, which was my career, he had enough forethought to actually interview his grandfather, not for the value of life or
Right.
what he wanted, but just the knowledge that the grandfather had about the family
yes.
that many of us would not think to do. While he was still lucid, he would go once a week and have coffee with him, sit down, turn on the recorder, and have the grandfather just
Wow.
relate all these stories about his father and the family when
Yes.
they were young and
Yeah.
all that, because he knew that life has limits, and once the grandfather's gone, all that family history is lost.
Yeah.
You know, because he was the only one that knew a lot of the background and history, but my friend did
What
that.
a great thing, and what a
Yeah.
great thing to inform people after the person maybe become demented or in a state where they can't speak for themselves, to look at that and say, here's who this person was. This is
Yes.
what gave this person's life value and meaning and joy.
And exactly, and I can see that a lot of people wouldn't feel comfortable being interviewed about what their wishes are for
Right,
their later
right.
life, right?
But,
But if you start out by bringing the personal touches into it and just do interviews about family and the history of
Yes.
the family, and then during the course of that, you bring into it,
right.
you know, if down the road you're no longer able to convey your wishes and that, what are your thoughts about how you wish to be
right.
cared for in your
I think that's
your
wonderful.
final years? I mean,
And I think, so many people, I mean, even there are some cultures and religions perhaps that say we don't want to talk about death or so on.
That's right.
But what a wonderful alternative, because actually out of that kind of interview you gain so much
That's right.
richness about
Yes.
who the person is and what they would want.
Yeah.
So thank you for that idea.
Well, yeah.
That's great. And thank you for your time.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.